Hi, lovelies. Welcome back and welcome if you're new. My name is Tyla. Thank you so much for joining me for this journal session series, season 2, episode 1. The message in today's session is simple but powerful, and that is that you don't have to fight for peace anymore. You're being guided into steadier ground where your energy is protected, your confidence is coming back online, and your heart is learning that joy is safe again. So grab your journal because we're not just reflecting today, we're rebuilding. So let's get into it. Question number 1. What desire, idea, or version of you is trying to come alive again, and what's one small action you can take this week to honor it? Pause the video or audio here to write your answer. This is a really great question for anybody that's been gaining a spark back for something that they've put down for a while. And something that I've noticed on my healing journey is that a lot of the things I used to love were the things that really brought me the most peace and happiness. But because of the fact that I was struggling with my mental health, that spark just felt so distant to me, almost to a point where I thought that I wouldn't even get it back. When you're burnt out, it's not always that you lost passion for something. A lot of the times, it's really just that your nervous system is tired and that your mind is overloaded. Burnout makes everything feel heavy, even the things that you love, because your body's in survival mode instead of joy mode. So if you've been feeling inspired, definitely make sure to act on that because you will really be so happy with yourself if you do. But if you notice that you've been struggling to regain that spark, then I do have some tips for you, starting with resting without guilt. This is because your passion comes back faster when you stop forcing it. So making sure that you are getting enough rest, that you are having a clear mind and a clear space to express yourself and do whatever it is, whether it's a creative endeavor, a business, anything that lights that spark up for you, making sure that you're just balancing that between self-care. The next one is to do less, but do it softer. So lowering the pressure and returning to the most simplest version of what you loved really helps you to kind of just ease your way back in instead of diving back in immediately and overwhelming yourself. The next major tip, which is a really big one, is reconnecting with your why. So asking yourself, what did this used to give me? What feeling did I used to experience when I would do this thing? Why did I love to do this thing? And it doesn't have to be a grand thing either. It can be something as simple as the freedom, the expression, peace, or even confidence. Another tip is to follow your curiosity and not consistency by starting with small sparks instead of big goals, and as well as just removing anything that's draining you. Question number 2, what would you do differently if you fully trusted in your power, your voice, and your presence without needing permission or validation? Pause the video or audio here to write your answer. Self-trust is so important when it comes to redefining your self-concept. The problem is that when you don't trust yourself, you start outsourcing your decisions to other people's opinions. Not trusting yourself also causes you to overthink every choice, second guess your feelings, and shrink your voice because you're afraid of being wrong. So over time, you stop showing up fully, not because you aren't powerful, but because you've been trained to doubt your own knowing. So when it comes to rebuilding that trust in yourself, start small. So you can do this by keeping the promises that you make to yourself, honoring your first instinct, and also speaking even when your voice shakes. Stop abandoning your truth just to be understood and practice choosing yourself without needing permission. The more you listen to yourself and follow through with things, the louder that your confidence gets and your presence becomes something that you don't have to force. Question number 3, what kind of relationships, environments, and routines feel like home to your nervous system, and how can you create more of that in your life? Pause the video or audio here to write your answer. A healed nervous system positively shifts so many areas in your life, like your relationships, your finances, your peace, and also so many other areas, which is why it's also important to be cautious about the places, people, and situations that aren't healing to your nervous system. I also want to give some examples of places and routines that personally help me. So, as for routines, I love doing something in the morning and before bed that helps me to clear my mind and refresh. So, for me, that looks like journaling all my thoughts, meditating, and listening to affirmations. I noticed too that my nervous system feels the safest when I'm around people that don't make me feel like I have to perform, explain myself, or shrink who I am. And the kind of relationships that feel like home to me are the ones that are consistent, gentle, and emotionally mature, where communication is clear, boundaries are respected, and love feels steady instead of confusing. And as for the environments, I really feel the most regulated in spaces that feel peaceful and grounding. So, like being in my room with soft lighting, clean spaces, calming scents, and music that matches the energy that I want to be in. Even something as simple as being outside in nature, sitting by the water, going on a slow walk, or just being in the sun can bring me back to myself. So those are definitely some things that if you haven't tried, I definitely recommend. And the biggest thing that I've learned is that creating a home for your nervous system isn't just about having a perfect life, but about building safety into your everyday choices. So it can look like choosing rest without guilt, saying no when something feels off, and just prioritizing people and places that make you feel calm instead of chaotic. So, if you're trying to create more of that in your life, start by paying attention to what drains you and what restores you. Also, noticing who you feel the most like yourself around, creating routines that remind your body that you're safe, and allowing peace to be your new normal, not just something that you experience for a moment. Question number 4: where in your life are you giving more than you're receiving, and what boundary would restore balance without guilt? Pause the video or audio here to write your answer. So, with this question, I want to speak about something called energy leaks because I feel like that really ties into this question here. When it comes to energy leaks, this is when you're experiencing kind of like a drain or leakage within your energy, your auric field. And so, what happens is that you may notice that you're a lot more tired, you don't have as much energy, and you don't really recognize where it's coming from, what that lack of energy is, unless, of course, you've been working a lot or you just haven't been eating the best. But if you notice that you're feeling off, sometimes it may just be an energy leak. And this can happen if you've been overextending your energy to someone without setting boundaries. Sometimes it catches up to us and we start to feel it in our body. We don't even really realize the effects that it's having on us mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. That's why I also highly recommend always calling your energy back to you. I do this on a daily. I do it when I first wake up. I do it at the end of the day. I just say, I now call all of my energy, power, and vitality back to me now from every person, place, space, thing, and entity, cleansed, blessed, and transmuted. And last but not least, what are you ready to receive without shrinking, overthinking, or sabotaging? And what belief do you need to release to let it in? Pause the video or audio here to write your answer. When working through this prompt, you can start by noticing where you tend to shrink, overthink, or self sabotage when something good shows up. So, a good question to ask yourself is: what are you afraid will happen if you actually receive this fully? Then identify with the belief underneath it, which is usually something like, I don't deserve it, it won't last, or I have to work hard for love and peace. So, by replacing that belief with something more supportive and practicing receiving in small ways, like accepting compliments without deflecting, letting people show up for you, not over explaining, and just choosing rest without guilt. So, that's all for this journal session, lovelies. I hope that you all enjoyed and found these prompts useful. If you did, definitely be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here with me, taking this time out to journal, to reflect. And I'm wishing you all the best on your journeys. Peace out and much love.